All right, so give me a dollar or give me 50 cents. We are today talking to, I get to talk to some really awesome people, but today we're talking to an absolute icon of heavy music, of bass, of rock and roll, of just, of the 90s and 21st century. I don't know what else to say about. Most famous is, lead bass and one lead vocals from King's X. Doug Pinnick, man, thanks so much for joining us today.
You're more than welcome.
Um, and well, I got to say, I'll start off. I'll toss you a softball first. So I got to say, the lefty bass, is that something that you even think about anymore? Or is it just natural? I'm a lefty player too, so I noticed that right away.
No, as a child in my family, it always seemed that there was a lot of left-handed people in my family for some reason. And as I grew up, I realized that our parents would someone go, "What hands he using?" And people would pay attention for some reason. And as soon as they figured he's a lefty, they start putting things in their left hand just automatically. And I'm more ambidextrous. I can do things with both ways. I had to. What proved that to me was I played saxophone. There was no left-handed saxophones when I was 12, and that's when I realized, oh, you don't have to be left-handed to do this. And then my piano teacher, a chorus teacher in grade school, she would sit there and I go, "Are there any left-handed pianos?" And she'd go, "No, Doug, this is the way you play it." And so that's when I realized that. But I always did everything with my left hand just because I was told I was supposed to. Even though I bowl with my right hand, I bat with my right hand, and I catch with my right hand, which is really hard. And I throw with my right hand. So when I catch with my right hand and I have to take the glove off and throw it with my right hand, it's like just anyway, that's enough of that. So left-handed. Let's go back. Let's backtrack. Okay,
Sure.
yeah. As a kid, I always wanted to play bass, and when I first ever saw a bass, an upper, a sideways bass, not an upright bass, but this. I was a little kid in the '50s. I wanted one, and I would pick up a broom and I'd hold it left-handed for some reason. I always did, um, and I just kept playing that way. Um, and then Jimi Hendrix came along, and I had just started playing bass when Hendrix was had been on the scene for a while, and he was left-handed, and I kind of looked like him. So I was this kid, that he was 7 years older than me. So I'm going, oh wow, I could play rock too, and I finally got a bass and turned it upside down. Now my basses are basically left-handed, made left-handed. I can't go back to that old way. It's nah. But Jimi Hendrix made it look cool, but it's like nah. It's just awkward on you. I mean, my right-handed basses that I had turned upside down, they always were off keel. The neck would hang harder, and they just never would balance. And then one day I got a left-handed bass. I think it was a I remember it was in King's X when we had been together like for 4 years, and I had two basses and I broke one or something. A kid in the town said, "I got a left-handed something," and he brought it over, and I played it for a song, and I went, "I never played anything like this in my life." I was playing stuff way up high and all because there was no cutaway back there. And after the show, Ty said, "I can tell what you're doing when you were all up all over the bass." And I said, "Oh, it was just so much fun." I was doing all these lit. But yeah, I learned to calm down a little bit.
No, that's fantastic. And then, all right, one more bass question. I know all the bass players are loving this, but so the 12-string bass. I mean, that's something I associate with you. That's one of those things that's like, oh yeah, that's like a Doug Pinnick thing.
I like taking that credit, but it was Tom Peterson and Joel Danzig, yeah. Not the singer. This is a guy that made guitars, Hammer guitars. So,
Sure.
okay, Cheap Trick comes out 85, 86. I hear this 12 string on their first record, and dang, 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 and I'm going, what is that? And I lived in Chicago at the time. I was about 25, 26 years old. I've been playing for a couple of years. And Cheap Trick were from Chicago. And so you go see them, right? It's like Tom Peters has got a 12 string with two folded 18 cabinets on their sides with two high watt 412 cabinets on top of it with a high watt cabinets, high watt amps, also 100 watts. Then on top of that was 2 twin reverbs wide open with a 12 string in a little club. And it's like, it was the most, it's the craziest thing you could ever imagined, because Rick Nielsen had 5 cabinets and the other side wide open. That's the way we did it in Chicago, though. It was like, in Chicago was, you had to be, if you weren't louder than everybody else, you weren't cool. And I remember, it was the mid 70s, and then we just went through that. But anyway, so Tom Peterson played 12 string. Okay, years later, okay, because I had a band that opened for Fuse, that was Tom Peterson and Rick Nielsen's band before they started Cheap Trick. And I didn't know it. But I just remember watching them play. And I was like 19 at that time, and they're like 20 or 21 or something. But anyway, fast forward, 1989, King's X has a record out. We're on tour. We go out with Cheap Trick. And got to hang with them, and me looking up to them, and I mean they're the big guys, and we talked about stuff, and I had a lot of fun with them. But one day I was standing on the side of the stage, and they were getting ready to go on, and Tom Peterson walks up, and I said, "Man, the 12 string's amazing." He says, "Yeah, I didn't think I could make one of these, but me and Joel sat down and we really worked this out." And I'm going, "Dude, that's badass." He says, "You want to try it?" And he handed it to me, and I put it on left-handed, and I just kind of plunked on it. And it was the most incredible thing I had heard. It was like a giant bass 12-string guitar, like a Rickenbacker, but it was a bass instead of a 12, like the Birds. It was like a bass Birds. And I went, "Whoa." And he says, "You should get one." So make a long story short, we got a hold of Hamer, and they started making me 12 strings. And that's how that started. I have my signature 12 string now.
Yeah, is that through Schecter, right? Is that my
No, it's with Schecter. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's with Schecter. The guy who made it, I had stopped playing the 12 strings for a few years, and a guy that worked at his name's John. Oh, what's his last name? John played well, anyway, he worked at Yamaha, he built guitars. And we were with Yamaha. For some reason the deal fell apart a few years later. And John texted me and said, "Dude, if I make you a 12 string for free, would you come back to Yamaha?" I says, "Well, sure." And he made me this beautiful 12 string. He did it on his own spare time. He didn't do it at work. And I went back to Yamaha and stayed with them for a good while. They made basses for me. Then he left, and he moved over to Schecter. And so I'm with Schecter, and I don't have 12 strings anymore, or I haven't been using them. And one day I thought, I need to get in a few more 12 strings. I only got one. And lo and behold, John works at Schecter. Anyway, he made one, made me a couple, and then he went to Fender. But the Schecter has the schematics, so they're going to make me some more. Are you exhausted yet?
No, it is great stuff, man. It's absolutely great. But we should absolutely talk about the new King's X album, which
Yeah,
I think
let's do that.
it's yeah. Let's promote
it's
it
my
because
fault. It's my fault.
no, I mean you're fans, and I mean everyone's eating this up, so no worries. But the new album. I mean, I know I've watched a bunch of interviews, so you're probably, I don't know if you're sick of talking about it yet, but I think it's on par with it. It says it's on up to your standards, up to King's X standards. I think it's great stuff. So just say whatever you want to say about it. Just tell people, why they need to get it. Why people are like, why people need to go back and check it out.
Jesus, that I don't know how to do that. It's like, I make music and I put it out, and if somebody likes it, they tell somebody else, and that's kind of what I like about it. This is such a new age, Before you'd put a record out and you do all these interviews, you do MTV and radio and stuff and all that stuff, and now it's like everybody knows everything about you anyway. It's like, what can you really say? Just punch in King's X, and it's like you got more than you want. If you're a King's X fan, I would say that it seems like the majority of King's X fans that I've gotten feedback from think this is one of our greatest records we've ever done, in the light of not better than Gretchen or Dogman or whatever your favorite record is, but an offering from a band that's been together for 42 years who are being who they are at that moment.
No, you know, that's perfectly stated. I'd say, you know, I'll help you. I'll help you to promote it a little. Because I
Thank
feel
you.
like you guys sound so comfortable. You know, and actually, you probably hear this the first 10 seconds of the album. I kind of go like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna love this album, and then it delivers the rest of the way. It's just such a powerful opening. You know,
That's good. That's good. That's good to hear. It,
uh,
it, it really is. You know, whoever uh, Michael Parnan, he sequenced this record, and a lot of people tell me that it's sequenced perfectly. I'm no good at sequencing, and so when I saw the sequencing, I'm going, no, this is wrong, you know. But I thought, you know, I have to trust him because he's the guy that knows he's steering this boat. You know, we gave him this, you know, this music. Now he's got to take it where it needs to go, and I trusted him, and it seems like, as usual, he was right and I was wrong. When it comes to sequencing, literally, I've never been able to sequence well. Everybody that knows me knows it. There's an art to it. There's a science to it. You know, the pitch, the tempo, this the chord changes, the simplicity, the complexity of it, the words, the how many choruses, if there's a lead break, well, you know, all those things go into mind, and it's all designed to mathematically keep your mind into it. Um, Nowadays, it's hard to keep anybody on something after 3 songs, but you know, I'm glad that the people that love King's X listen to the whole record.
yeah, and I think that that speaks to your fans and to the music
Yeah.
too. Um,
Oh, thanks.
But now, I mean, one thing I've noticed across your career, and I actually confirmed this. I got a good friend who's super fan who talks about seeing you guys actually at the Mason Jar in Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
That was before I lived in Phoenix. But so you know, for as smart as the songwriting is, and for as deep as it is, you guys don't, or you in your career even have not really done many epics, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, most of your songs are kind of to the point. You don't have like the Dream Theater 25-minute songs. You've got more stuff that's
Yeah, you know, we wrote a couple, you know, in the past because we like that kind of music. But you know, for me, I grew up on prog music, a lot of prog, yes, in Kansas and stuff like that. Mahoudition Orchestra. I mean, songs that lasted an hour. You know, I love that stuff. I mean, Close to the Edge, that's the masterpiece. 25 minutes of just everything in it was perfect. But you know, for with King's X's, we're just so much more than prog. You know, there's all this other stuff that we like that dominates that space too, and so it just comes out in that way. I think the last, for me personally, the last magnum opus I wrote was Chariot Song off the fourth record, and had got lots of parts and changes in it. And I wrote that thing with a drum machine that had to memorize that whole thing and track all the parts. I'll never forget it. But you know, and then I thought I'm not gonna write another one of these. It was just so Flood on the King's X record is Flood Part One and Part Two. That was a magnum opus. It was about 10 minutes, and I listened to it and I thought, nobody, I don't care. You know, it's like it's too long, and so I took 4 parts out and wrote another song around it, and it kind of sounds like a Queen anthem played by Black Sabbath, and the two those two songs together would have been so fucked up. It was just too much, you know. So I pulled those parts out, and I just left the other 2 parts, which is the train wreck going through the metal factory, or the picnic, you know. And
nice.
giving tribute to Miss Sugar. I love that.
Oh, nice. And you know, I was gonna say, I definitely hear some geezer Butler for sure. I mean, I think,
I oh, I gotta admit it. Yeah, I love Geezer. Geezer, I love this story. They did a Geezer tribute in LA when I first moved out here, and I got to sing a couple of songs that Geezer had written. And after the show, he thanked me for singing them. It was really nice. The only time I ever met him, and he's such a great guy. Just like, and he's a monster. I saw Black Sabbath in '72 on the Masters of Reality album. Oh my God, dude, I was like 22. Black Sabbath. Anyway, yeah. On All God's Children, Ty wrote that song, and when he played that riff, I thought to myself, "Are you gonna play it down here? Or are you gonna go Geezer?" And I thought I never went Geezer, and I mean, yeah, I stole the riffs. I mean, it's almost the same riff to what the first Black Sabbath song. No, it's Iron Man. Yeah, and the bass line, he does these riffs. Yeah, I stole that shit. Hell yeah.
You heard it here.
Hey, listen, don't be afraid to borrow from your heroes because they borrowed it from someone else. Nobody made anything up. If
Now,
they wrote the song, they get credit for it, but the riff, it's math. There's only 7 notes in a riff. There's only 8 measures. They've been done probably 100 trillion times over and over. Even Beethoven played that riff somewhere in his symphony. Okay, so get over it. We just take our soup and do what we do. You have the same accent your parents have. Your parents supposed to sue you for it. Say get out of here. But you know what I'm saying? There's a difference between writing a song lyrically and melodically, and it's your song, and you can prove that's your melody and your take on it. I can see that. But My Sweet Lord was already a song, back in the 50s and the 40s and the 30s, and people, send me messages all the time going, "Oh, I see where you got over my head from Rosetta Thorne," and I'm going, "Yeah," and she got it from the people in the coal mine or in the cotton fields, and it's traditional. That's what we do, so that's the beautiful thing about music. It has something familiar to it, and I think that does attract certain people.
Yeah, it's perfectly said. Perfect. Yeah. And so now we talked about the history. So, and I set you up on this one. So let's talk a little bit. What do you see as the future of heavy music?
Oh yeah, you know, it's hard to. I've seen, every decade. Been so many decades. From being 16, listening to Steppenwolf and the singers going, "I like smoking lightning, heavy metal thunder." When we heard that word, heavy metal, I think everybody that I knew, probably every kid that played like music, heavy metal, it was a word that caught on. I don't know who attached it to the genre of Led Zeppelin and all that kind of stuff, but that was the thing that got me in. Where's my point? You said, what was the question? I really got off track.
No, you're going in the right direction. No, I was just asking, where do you see this? I mean, it doesn't have to be heavy metal, but just where do you see heavy music going
Oh
in
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Okay,
in the
heavy
future?
music. Here's the thing: I'm seeing kids now that are. I mean, I'm running into kids that like Robert Trujillo's son. He looks like he's about 17 now. Monster bass player. I've gone to see his band a couple times. Or you got Eddie Van Halen's son playing, and you got all these kids, and you can go down the list. Paul Stanley's son. It's an amazing guitar player. He's got like the Police kind of vibe and the really cool guitar thing. He's amazing, and all these kids. They're just the kids listening to the parents' music that they liked. Because here's the thing, the 70s, for some reason, it was real. 70s was real, and in the 90s was real. There's a lot of real bands. And I think a lot of kids that are in touch with their feelings when it comes to music those are the years that they were, and had things to sing about. And it goes back and forth every 10 years. You got the 80s, which was a whole different world, and I love the 80s and the bands that came out of there. But that was a whole another generation of belief. We had MTV too, where everybody's okay now. Nobody's bad, and it was so cool, the liberation and watching horrible bands on MTV that never would have been big if they didn't have a crazy video. And everybody's going, oh, that's not music. Well, it was music. And a drum machine came along, and drummers said, I don't have a job. And I go, well, it'll fade away. And so I don't know where it's going, but I know that this is my biggest problem, and everything else is on point. Kids are pulling in information from everywhere they can that touches them, moves them, and wants them to create it. And there's crazy pictures coming out, and I encourage it. My only problem is learn to write a great song. Then you'll win. A great song. Doesn't matter if this song sells 1 million copies. A great song, and you will know it because people will let you know, and you will see it change people's lives, and you will be happy, and you will have a life in that adventure. You'll have stories to tell. It's a terrible thing for a person to do the thing that they don't want to do for the rest of their lives. So do what you do. Ronnie James Dio said something I saw in his movie that will be out, or it came out last week, I think. I can't remember. But he said something that really stuck with me. He says, in your darkest moments, that's when you should be doing what you do the most. And I thought, wow, because I needed to even hear that. Sometimes I just go, wait a minute, this is when I should get your butt in there and start doing shit. Because what happens when you do that? Everything gets okay again because you're doing what you're supposed to do. Oh, yeah. Rock and roll. So,
this good stuff, man.
It's funny because it keeps going. I mean, Jet came and it's gone, dude. I'm going, what's going on? It's like, I mean, it's been flying past really fast now. I mean, I remember when Meshuggah to me were kids, and now we everybody's got beards. By the way, they're one of my favorite bands in the world. They're coming in a few weeks, and I can't wait to go see them and hang. I love those guys. They inspire me. They inspire me because of their groove. They are the kings of math groove. It's very difficult to hear a math band or a gent band who can groove like Meshuggah. It's like you go 10 years earlier in Pantera. Pantera had a groove that people couldn't write those grooves. They were heavy as fuck, but they grooved. Even Korn, shouldn't say even Korn. I play with Ray in Korn, and I know those guys and I love them. I saw those guys in their first tour. Our old sound man was tour managing them. He says, Doug, these kids are really cool. Come see them play. They played this little club and it didn't even have a stage. It was so cool. And they were so young, and they blew our minds. And all those are the years. I mean, so for me, seems like every 10 years or 8 years or so, some new kid comes on the block, new band comes on the block. Just the Deftones all of a sudden out of nowhere. What the fuck? It's like, yeah. So I'm looking for that myself. But and I think I found a few. There's a band called Vola that I love. They're very prog gent, and some of their grooves are like, yeah, I can dance to this. And pretty mathematical. Oh, and the drummer, I love the drummer. I watch some of his tutorials. He does a lot of drumming by himself, and I just sit there and go, now this is a mathematical groove machine. He's badass. And there's a band called Sleep Token. They're really long, drawn out songs, and half the song is so slow, but the singer is so emotional, and if you fall into the his pain, it's like you almost start wanting to cry. But then it starts building up, and these keyboards is this beautiful stuff. And all of a sudden, these guitars start coming in, and by the time they ended, it's like Meshuggah on 12, and then all of a sudden it drops out into this like such a dainty little beautiful. It's like what the I mean, so there's bands out there that I think that are carrying a torch and doing their own stuff. You know.
Nice.
Anyway, I pump both those bands. I've never met either band. You know.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I can recommend some too, but people want to hear about you, and also
Oh, I'm
people.
sorry.
No, 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 no. This is great stuff. This is fantastic. But like you said, I'm not going to take the floor and start talking about bands I think are hot today. But like I said, um, so well, I mean, since we're on this subject, I mean, this is usually how I close the interview. I think we got a couple more minutes, but I will ask. So what?
Oh, we got tons of time. I don't have nobody else. I ran everybody over anyway, so I was 10 minutes late for you.
All good. Yeah, we'll see what Zoom gives us. I have
Yeah. Okay.
I have the cheapskate
Oh, okay.
Zoom, so we'll
Oh,
see how much.
I got it. Yeah. No
um,
problem.
but it hasn't flashed any warnings at me yet. But so what do you guys got planned to promote the album? You guys gonna do some live shows? Talk about
Yeah.
what's next for dUg and for King's X.
Yeah. We got live shows coming up in the Midwest, and we got some. Oh, yeah. Two patches of shows in the Midwest. Nashville and around that area, and then Texas, doing a Texas tour. Other than that, holidays are coming, and so we're regrouping, trying to figure out, what we want to do, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. Everybody's out, and so yeah, we don't have any plans yet. But if you go to kingsx.com, kingsxrocks.com, they're always letting you know what's going on. But yeah, we'll be playing as much as we can.
All right, yeah. Hopefully you'll come through Phoenix and the coast. Yeah, I look forward to catching you guys.
Oh,
When
that would
when
be
when
cool.
I
We don't
can.
play Phoenix often, and that's a tough place to play. I hope we can come back. Yeah, we played there. Didn't we play there not too long ago? No, maybe it was with Grinder Blues. Anyway, sorry, I got
Yeah.
off track again. Beep, 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 beep.
And what about, I mean, you're the king of no pun intended. You're the king of side projects too, and other projects. What else do you have going on?
Nothing's going on much. Oh yeah, well, Gary Myrick, have you heard of him?
I know the name. Yeah, yeah.
Gary Myrick and the Figures. She talks in stereo. Well, a friend of mine, Mike Hansen, and him, we have a little EP we're working on at my house in my studio. It's called MPH. Uh, uh, Myrick, Pinnick, Hansen, and it kind of sounds like if a heavy metal Hendrix blues kind of thing. We just turn on 10 and just jam it out, and it's really cool. Every song's like 2 or 3 minutes, or less, and they're really just fun, like the way. Anyway, yeah. So that's going on. Yeah, we're just kind of laying low, trying to wait to see what's going on in touring. And then hopefully we'll, do another record one of these days. And I'll be doing a solo record sooner or later. And KXM, we've talked about doing some more music. So, that'll be coming. Always
Oh,
something coming.
yeah. I love that. George Lynch, and then shit. I'm spacing on. So forgive me.
Yeah, Ray Luzier. Ray.
Yeah,
I do too.
yeah,
Ray. Love Ray.
yeah. That is such a killer album. All right. Well,
Thanks.
so see now I did get the warning, but yeah, let's like I said, if you got a couple minutes, let's cruise until Zoom kicks us out. All right. It'd be
All
like,
right.
the end of the night at the bar, like I don't care where you go, you don't have to go home, you can't stay here. Like that's what Zoom is
I
basically
got
saying
you.
now. Well, let me see. Well, what? All right, actually, you just told me like, well, so talk to me about like King's X seems like one of those bands where like it's like three guys who are just pals. Like if you weren't in the band, seems like that's the impression I get as an outsider.
Yeah,
Is that
I would say it's more like if you were born in the same family, and you got along with each other. You hate each other as much as you love each other. It's like a marriage. We know each other really well. We never broke up. nobody will. We're not going to break up. If we do, nobody will take the blame. So we'll never break up. You know, I mean, seriously, you know, that's the way we are. It's like, I'm not breaking up. I'm not going to take the blame, you know, because we know what it means to people, you know. So, and you know, they're my brothers. I died for them, you know. And like I said, I hate them at the same time, and we all will agree. But we know we're older now, and we've gotten through a lot of the bullshit, and you know, we learn to let each other be who we are, and actually be okay with it.
That's and so now, you know, I know some other interviewers have made a big deal out of the gap between the last album and this one, but so did you guys like were in constant contact, like seeing each other at holidays, like staying in touch, or
No,
was it
no,
like
we played almost every month. We played
okay,
yeah, we stopped doing the buses because you know it's too expensive, and so we fly into an area and do 3 shows. Road crew is in Texas, and they drive the equipment anywhere we're in the United States. They go, we're playing. Well, this is what we're doing, and we'll see you there. You know, and they roll it out. You know, and so we never stopped playing. We never stopped hanging out and seeing each other. We just never made a record. Guys just didn't want to. I did, but they didn't, and I understand why now because we weren't into it, you know, and we felt it's more important to make a record that meant something to us and the people that love us than to shit out another record, and that's exactly what we all agreed on in that term.
yeah, no, I've heard that term. That's perfectly stated too. All right, so well, maybe this is a weird last question, but I'll ask this.
Yeah.
So what is your preferred music format? Are you still vinyls? Do you like CDs? Do you like the streaming revolution? What do you
I
what's
have yeah, streaming Title. It's I listen to Title. It is pure quality streaming. It's not affected in any way, and the mastering button on it actually you're listening to exactly what they played you in the studio. It's $10 more, $20 a month, and $20 a month for me is nothing, you know, compared to what I used to buy on records and albums. I love records. I buy them because I like the nostalgia of it. And I have a bunch of records from the 70s myself. You know, I grew up on 70s and I have cassettes too. But when I listen to music, you know, I'm in my studio listening to Title, you know, it streams, and they have everything that I want, things that I didn't know even existed, you know. So, and that's another rabbit hole. You know, I didn't know. I mean, even I pull up dUg Pinnick and I'm going, I did that. When did I do that? Oh wow, that was what, you know. And I mean, literally, I'm like going, wow, I forgot about that one, you know. And yeah, really.
That's great. Yeah, yeah, check that guy out. I think you'll like him. No, it's funny that you
Well,
can it's funny that you can read.
I think there'll be something if you check it all out. There'll be something that you like. I think.
No, I agree with that. All right, so I mean, maybe we got time. One thing I'm definitely curious about for because you talk about hearing Hendrix when he was new and fresh, and listening to Steppenwolf when it was new. So, can you tell us about your first kind of musical moment, like that you can recall, like what you go like, yeah, this is it for me. Like I'm connected to this stuff.
um, I've always felt that from a record player to seeing my first band. It's always been in front of me, served to me. My uncle took me to see Ray Charles when I was 12. I remember when I was 10, I went to a sock hop at the high school, a little 10-year-old kid, and I snuck in the back door and watched this band playing Louis Louis. It was like 1960, you know, and being around church and hearing people play piano and going to school playing, listening to people play keyboards and being taught choir and stuff like that. So it was always just what I did. The biggest thing about Jimi Hendrix was he played soul music, and soul music was at a place. I was the next generation. We instead of the white kids went heavy, well, black people went to funk, and Jimmy was heavy, and I couldn't understand why funk came along. Parliament was doing that chicka chicka jink stuff before the first record was like uh, heavy like Hendrix, and I thought this is where black music is going. I'm on board, and it stopped, and I just never got it off the bandwagon. I thought, well, I'm gonna make the heaviest funk music I can make, you know, and with guitars. That's it. That's what I do, and that's what I love. And so that's a foundation of what I the way I look at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was way better. That's a way better answer than the question I even asked. So that was awesome. No, that's great. So, like I said, I don't want to take a chance on us getting cut off. So I'm just going to say,
Okay.
Doug, man, it's an honor, man. It's been great talking to you. Best of luck with the new album. I think it's
Thank you.
fantastic. And
You're welcome.
yeah, I hope to catch you guys on tour. And everyone should absolutely go out and check out the latest from King's X. It's like I said, to me, it's on par with the best of King's X. So thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Doug Pinnick, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. Yeah, you too, man. Thanks. See you.